But without further ado, we're going to get into the material, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Rachel.
Thanks, Monique. And thank you everybody for joining us today. We're going to talk about the Georgetown University Graduate Certificate in Early Intervention. It is a professional certificate in combination with the Center for Child and Human Development at Georgetown University and the School of Continuing Studies. So just to tell you a little bit about the purpose of it, we are preparing early intervention providers across disciplines to serve children and families with a comprehensive, evidence-based, family-centered, culturally and linguistically competent interdisciplinary services and supports. These purposes align with the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Part C, which governs states' early intervention programs. So we want to prepare you to be excellent in your services and supports according to IDEA in the states that you will be serving. Next slide. So the goals of the program are to give you skills and knowledge in assessing and promoting the social, emotional, developmental, and behavioral health of very young children, birth to 3 up to age 5. Identify developmental and behavioral and emotional problems or disorders or concerns early on, to intervene effectively using evidence-based knowledge and practices, and to develop and manage effective systems of support and service, and how to navigate in those service systems. Next slide. One of the things that we wanted to highlight for those wondering about the program is what are the skills specifically that you'll be developing. For those familiar with early intervention, these will sound very familiar. For those who aren't, I'm going to explain them a little bit, but you're going to get some very specific skills in doing the work of early intervention. The first one listed there is routines-based interviewing and intervention. Routines-based interviewing is an understanding of how a child is moving about in their environment through the routines of the day. It's also, on the intervention side, how we determine what are we going to work on and what are the outcomes that we'd like to see for children. The other skill that you'd learn is something called an eco map. It's a visual picture of who is central to this child's life as they're developing, and what are all the resources and supports that are around them, so that we can take advantage of that when we're deciding what intervention strategies would be most supportive. Not all intervention strategies end up being something that we do as providers. It may be things that we're finding informally in the environment. So it's very important to map that out. The other skill, set of skills that you'll be developing is how to do a developmental assessment, a team developmental assessment. We use tools like the Battelle Developmental Inventory. We also use assessment tools about a child's strengths and needs, called the AEPS, and that is a system that looks at what's going on in a child's routine and what pieces of it they're able to accomplish and what sort of the next steps are. The other thing that you'll talk about and plan for is assistive technology. This is something that helps children meet outcomes. It can be as simple as you're going to put a suction cup on a rattle so that it can be on the child's tray table so they can interact with it more easily, particularly if they have a motor problem. But it's something that gets overlooked even by those who've been in early intervention for a little while. So we were going to give you some really good skills around that. The other thing that we want to build your skill in is how to recognize concerns, priorities, and resources of families. These are the integral pieces that go on to make strength-based outcomes, which you see at the bottom of that list. Once you understand those, it's much easier to write strengths-based outcomes around these concerns, priorities, and resources to really partner with families and caregivers like teachers, early childhood teachers, around those outcomes. And it ends up helping you write strength-based outcomes. What are we going to plan for as the result of service delivery? And that's those outcomes. We also help folks build the skill in identifying and using evidence-based practices and strategies in those environments, and to be good partners in developing the individualized family service plan, or the IFSP. That's the central document for planning in early intervention. Move to the next slide. So the way we structure the program is it's 18 credits in total. You have 4 major core courses and some minor courses, a capstone project. The whole program runs beginning in September. We have that foundations course that you see under the minor course. It's a 1-day on-site. We are optimistic that we'll be doing it on-site come September. We have been doing it remotely. One of the things about the program is it's been very flexible and very successful, even moving to an all remote program. So the foundation, that orientation, is a 1-day on-site orientation and didactic setup for the program. And you get to meet, we do this as a cohort, so you get to meet other folks in the program. And then as you go along, you take 2 core courses in the fall, 2 in so the first 2 in the fall and the second 2 in the spring, and those are predominantly online courses. There are 4 in-person sessions in total, so you do have to plan for some time, and like I said, optimistically, we're going to be doing all 4 of them together in person, and in person meaning either at the School of Continuing Studies or at the Center for Child and Human Development. And that is that orientation, that's in September. We have something in January called Special Topics, where you have an expert come in and talk about a hot topic in early intervention. Your leadership course has 1 in-person all day on a Saturday that's required. And then there's an applications course, which is your final course, where you're doing your capstone presentation and you're attending an in-person conference. So those are the 4 in-person day. Everything else is on a learning management system in Canvas, or done in real time using Zoom. As the courses go along, there's about 3 to 4 Zoom interactions, and most of the rest of it is through the learning management system, discussion boards, and those sorts of things. You do some group activity as well as some individual work. And then we also augment our curriculum with some electronic learning platforms. We have a curriculum called Contemporary Practices in Early Intervention that we use throughout all of the courses. We have access to early childhood mental health consultation tutorials that we ask folks to use. We use the Frank Porter Graham Connect inclusion modules, and we also have our website, learningei.org. Anybody can go ahead and look at these modules, whether you're in the program or not. They're very useful. So we can move to the next slide. So this just gives you a sample. We've been doing the program since 2012 successfully, as you can see. You can see the size of the cohorts. Last year was our largest cohort ever, and we're hoping to continue that size as we go forward. And you can see the breakdown of the disciplines who have participated. Predominantly, it's been early education, but also you see a lot of occupational, physical, and speech language pathologists. We've had some service coordinators, psychologists, a couple of physicians, those in social work, and folks who are advocates, parents, policy administrators. It's been great to have the diversity of disciplines working together to learn this content. And it usually makes for quite a rich discussion. And particularly around your capstone projects where you're working in teams, we try to, do that across disciplines as well. So we'll move to the next slide. Obviously, you are adult learners. We see the instructors as facilitators of your learning, and we do a lot of collaboration and discussion around that. Everybody has a different experience level that comes in. We have some folks who are in their final year of their preparatory programs and they have never experienced early intervention. We have early childhood educators who are out in the field who are learning early intervention specifically. We have even early intervention providers who take the coursework. We want to, and we do, really focus on that critical thinking, how to problem solve. Early intervention isn't one answer to a question. It is quite a combination of things. It's very team focused, so we try and have active student involvement so that you have meaningful interactions with each other and start building those skills to work as a team through, in the past year and a half, adversity and problem solving and lots of successes. We do accommodate individual differences. I want to emphasize that we primarily have women heads of households who take the program, and we have seen people through birth of children, loss of jobs, death of family members. We understand that you are adults working with families with responsibilities. So we try and accommodate. We've had people with disabilities take the program. So I want to just emphasize that we do try and tailor it as long as we know what you're going through to what folks need to get through the curriculum. We are definitely a problem-centered learning program. That's how life is, especially lately. So we can move to the next slide. So the learning activities that we have are very interactive. You'll have discussions. Some are reflective. We do some self-assessment. There is some writing. You will be in the Zoom interactions asked to unmute your mic, be on camera, but also use chat features. The instructors do the preparation. They try and be as flexible as possible in how you respond to any of the activities. They do give you time, but there are deadlines. We do emphasize, if you're not meeting those, that we come up with some problem solving around that. And we do ask you to interact with a lot of online activity, interactive pieces in order to keep the learning interesting. We do use a variety of technologies. You're probably getting quite used to them now. Things like obviously Zoom, but Jamboard and interactive survey technologies and that sort of thing, to try and make it as interactive as possible. The university does have tech support. We do provide some as well. And we do have a lot of electronic resources we talked about. For those who can't see the slide there, it is a person sitting at a laptop computer with someone behind them saying, "My course lacks interactivity and it has no point." I assume the software would take care of that. We do realize that, and we do try to make it as interactive as possible because we understand that this mode of learning can be challenging for some, and one way of doing it doesn't meet everybody's need. So we can go to the next slide. So the admissions requirements are that you have at least a bachelor's degree. We found that folks who don't, it's kind of tough to get through the content. You don't have to be currently working in early intervention to become a student in this, but you have to be interested in early intervention. And the early intervention essay that you submit as part of the application process is a discussion from you about why you're interested in this and how you think you're going to apply it. You'll be required to submit a resume or a curriculum vitae. There is a fee of $35 that is not refundable if you are not selected for the program or if you choose to withdraw. The deadline for applications is June 15th, 2021, and we'll be making decisions shortly after that, and you'll be hearing from us after that about your acceptance into the program.
And Rachel, just to piggyback on that really quick, I want everyone to focus a lot of your attention on your essay, because while Rachel and her team are reviewing the applications, this is really the only piece, or a huge major piece, where they can see who you are as a person, why you're interested in the certificate program, the passion that you have for early intervention, and what it is that you would like to do moving forward. So within that essay, if you do have any questions, or you're like, what should I be answering, within the essay, feel free to reach out to us so that we can, assist you a little more. But I found that in the 6 years of working at Georgetown University, specifically with these certificate programs, that the audience for early intervention, the prospective students and those that apply, are so dedicated to early intervention, and they have such a passion for it, that this essay is usually never the problem.
No.
But yeah, right. So, but yeah, if you do have any questions, of course, we're here and we are happy to help. But here's the contact information for Rachel as well as Toby. Their email addresses and phone numbers are here if you wanted to take note. And of course, everyone who is here today, everyone who has registered for the certificate webinar will receive the PowerPoint presentation in addition to this recording. So if you wanted to share it with anyone, you will be able to do so. And then here is the email address for enrollment. So if you have any questions for us specifically, you can always email us or give us a call. And of course, we'll be happy to help. Rachel, did you have anything else to add? I'm going to open it up for questions in a minute
Yeah, I
here.
think let's answer some questions, and I may think of a few more things based on that.
Okay. Okay. So if you have any questions, please go ahead to the questions panel. Now is your opportunity to ask Rachel and myself while we're here. I know everybody typically waits until the webinar is over and they're like, oh man, I forgot to ask that question. So please take advantage of the time that you have right now if you do have any questions.
Well, if we're waiting for some, I can talk about sort of the culmination of the program. So one of the things that threads through the program is the Capstone Project. And it's a nice opportunity for doing something specifically focused on early intervention, birth to 3, that 3 to 5, if you're sort of interested in that too, because the District of Columbia's early intervention program extends up till children are eligible for preschool. So we do think about that in a wider context. And it is a very popular annual conference that we do, that you end up professionally presenting whatever your project is in front of an audience. You do poster presentation. And if we're in person, you're actually interacting with people in our community who do early intervention. We've had folks from former mayor, the mayor's office, DC council members, and the early intervention program administration do attend. So kind of
All right, we have a few questions coming
great.
in. What resources do you use for learning the routines-based interview?
So the one that we use predominantly, if you're familiar, is oh my gosh, names escape my brain. McWilliam. So there's a book about early intervention, routines-based intervention, and home-based provision. So, but we do also talk about the coaching approach in terms of several different folks' approach to that. So the intervention in the routines is not only McWilliam, but it's Rush and Sheldon, Julianne Woods. So all of these are very routines-based intervention approaches, and so we keep it open to that, and they're all based in evidence. So we do use a combination of those.
Fantastic. The next question, are you able to participate in the program if you're living outside of the DMV area? Oh, Rachel, this is a good opportunity to talk a little bit about
Yes.
COVID, flex learning, like what we have going on right now.
Exactly. Yes, you are able to. There are a couple of those in person where you'd have to expect to travel to our area. But other than that, we've had folks from across, so Arizona, Florida, I'm trying to think where else folks were from, Connecticut maybe. I'm trying to remember all the states folks did participate. And we've also had international students participate. We've had folks from the United Arab Emirates, from one person currently I think is based in London, Mexico City. I'm trying to think where else, but they did the requirement to come in person, particularly for the leadership course in March is incredibly like that's essential. You have to be in person with your cohort. Obviously we've made some exceptions when we've had to, but by and large everybody comes in for those. But other than that, it's online and it's through Zoom, and if you can deal with the time changes, you can participate. We do everything on East Coast time unless we know there's specific people in our cohort who need a little flexibility in that.
Fantastic. Next question. Are the clinical fellows for SLPs eligible for George? If not, is there a discount for student learners for the program?
There is currently no discount for student learners. The George piece, so for those not familiar with that, we have a part of the cohort is eligible for a program called George. If you are in your final year of your preparatory program, so you have not graduated from your preparatory program, you are eligible for George. So I'm not sure if those in speech language pathology, we could talk separately if you want, where you are in your program, if you've graduated and now you're just doing your clinical piece. You have to be connected to the university still.
All right, and what time and day is the synchronous online content? So what time would they have to actually be logged in specifically for
a lot
synchronous?
of times, so the synchronous Zoom, the video chats throughout the courses are predominantly in the evenings, and usually there's a little poll about what day and time works best for everybody, so after work kind of thing. We have done them on the weekends. I know this past semester, because of just the Zoom fatigue and everybody's life in Zoom, I think they did move some to the weekends, but that was when everybody was okay with that. Most of the time, and traditionally, it's been on a weeknight in the evening, with the time flexing anywhere from 6:30 to 7:30-ish Eastern time is usually when they'll do the synchronous. And like I said, it's 3 or 4 times through a whole semester. It's not, you have to be online at a certain time every week.
Okay. And then is the program focused primarily on 0 to 3 years or 0 to 5 years?
It's primarily 0 to 3, but we do talk about the 3 to 5 piece, and people can do answer questions one of the things that we require is that each participant identify a family with a child in the birth to 5 range, preferably with a disability if they could, to practice some things with. So we've had focuses on that 3 to 5 period by some of the students, and some of the content does address that. But it's not
Awesome.
the early childhood programming, it's specifically early intervention.
Okay. Well, that looks like our last question. I don't know if there's any other questions that you all have, but if you can think of anything, make sure that you include it here. I know we've had a wide range of specifically in enrollment because that's my portion at the School of Continuing Studies, but we had a wide range of students that were interested from career changers, to those that have been in the field for some time, those that may have dibbled and dabbled in early intervention, but now they're ready to make that commitment. So just so many different types of students from all different backgrounds. And as Rachel mentioned earlier, from, different areas of the world. So if this is a program that you're interested in, I would say give it a try, go ahead and put in your application. The deadline is in a few months. You have a little bit of time. Maybe this fall is the fall for you to get back into school and, to get started with your passion and something that you truly want to make a career out of.
That's a great point, Monique. Thank you. That some of the folks who've come through not only may be interested in being an early intervention service coordinator or provider or some administrative piece in early intervention, but may have been an early childhood educator that's interested in understanding more about it so they can use those services more, or help their center use the services in a better way. Have been some of the folks who've participated. The overseas folks have been trying to set up early intervention programs in their countries, so that's been an interesting perspective as well.
Very cool. Another question came in. How many students do you accept per semester? What is the maximum students, or do you have a limit?
We don't have a limit per se. This last cohort's been pretty big. Our George program's limited to 10 applicants, but the certificate program itself is not limited at this point. What we've done with the bigger group is in courses, they've had sections so that it's better if there's like about a 15-person group that you're interacting with in the real-time interactions, so it doesn't get too big and people don't feel swallowed up and can't ask their questions. So if we get a bigger group, we break down the courses in sections.
Absolutely. I remember in the beginning, we typically would get around that number, of 15, 12 or so.
Yeah.
As you can see here, from cohort 1 in 2012, 7 students, 13, 18, 24, and then the most I've ever seen was 31 students. Typically for our certificate programs, we do about 30, but with 31, we couldn't turn anyone down. We were so excited to
Yeah.
have so much interest. But yeah, I mean, average is usually about 15 or so, but as you can see, we'll clearly take more.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's asking about the deadline. The deadline for this fall is June 15th. So you can go ahead, and gather your documents together and everything and submit them as soon as you have everything together. Take a look at the schedule on our website to make sure that all of the dates and times work well with your schedule. I always encourage everyone to take a look at that because, you want to make sure that you're there for those synchronous time frames and that you're able to get everything taken care of.
Yeah, that's a good point, Monique. On the School Continuing Studies website for this program, there are the exact dates that you'll be meeting in September, January, March, and June. So you want to make sure those dates do work that you could travel, you have the time, and you can dedicate. The rest of it's pretty flexible, as obviously you have deadlines for the work that's due and the interactions you have to have, but those are kind of set in stone.
Okay, let's see. Oh, someone wants to know if it's completely remote because they live in California. And she says, sorry if I missed this part.
That's okay. Yes, for the most part it is, but there are 4 in-person days that are required, so you would have to travel, particularly the orientation and the leadership, and the annual conference. The special topics we've been much more flexible about, but it's really important for the cohort cohesiveness to be at those 4 in-person days.
Okay, and then another question, is the program 6 months or a year to complete?
It's a September to June, so beginning just after Labor Day and going to mid-June every year. So what's that, 9, 10 months? It's spread out.
Yep, about that time frame. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the website says July 15th. So maybe the
Ah,
application deadline has changed from June to July. If the website says July, then it's definitely July.
I
So forgive
apologize for
the
that
error.
mistake.
Yes, definitely forgive the error from June to July 15th. So you have a little bit more time to submit your application. Let me send you guys the link to go ahead and apply for the program. Since we have a little more time, it sure does, July 15th, 2021.
Yes, it does. I
Perfect. So,
apologize for that error on the slides.
yeah, definitely. Okay, so I just sent the link to everyone so you can head on over here, take a look at the website. Look at that baby. Oh my gosh. Take a look at the website, get more familiar with the curriculum and schedule posted here. Take a look at the courses, the materials. You can click on each one of these individually to get additional information, course details, description, objectives, just so you feel more comfortable with the material in which you'll be going over within each of your classes. I'm sorry, guys, it is spring break and these kids, I can't get away from them. Please forgive my background.
That's
Um,
okay.
but yes, take a look at the website. And if you formulate any other questions, concerns, feel free, of course, to call us, email us. We will be happy to assist you all. I'm going to put the email address back up here really quickly so that you have it. And after this is over, sometime between today and tomorrow, I'm going to send everyone the recording and the PowerPoint presentation. Share it with everyone, share it with anyone who may be interested in the program. And yeah, give us a call if you
Yeah.
have any questions or concerns.
I did want to mention that the instructors for the courses are um, experts in their field. They have done this work for a very long time, and know the evolution of how early intervention systems have worked, usually understand it across different states, and are intimately familiar with um, the rules, the regulations, and how people are doing it. We've had a crash course in remote service delivery in the last year and a half, and some of the regulations around that. And we give you good resources to understand those things that are nationally known.
All right, looks like we don't have any additional questions. Well, everyone, have a fantastic Monday. I hope your week is even better. Thank you all so much for joining us. Rachel, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge and
Thank
all the
you.
information for the early intervention certificate program. Everything you've done for our students and for this program has been phenomenal. Um, But yes, everyone have a fantastic Monday. We look forward to taking a look at your applications and answer any questions you guys may have.
Thank you all for attending, and we look forward to those applications. We enjoy this work.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Bye.